when a dog became the only witness that mattered. In the small, quiet town of Ashford, Virginia, crime was something people read about, not something they lived through. But on a cold January night, that calm was shattered when Emily Carter, a 34-year-old schoolteacher, was found murdered in her home. The police arrived within minutes of a neighbor's call, reporting barking that wouldn't stop. The only one left alive in the house that night was Charlie, Emily's golden retriever. Detective Ryan Hale, a 15-year veteran, had seen his share of horror, but this case felt different. There was no sign of forced entry. The house was neat, almost too neat. Emily lay near the kitchen door, a single blow to the head. Her fiancé, Mark Dawson, was found in shock outside when police arrived. He claimed he had just returned from a late shift at the auto shop. "I found her like this," he said, trembling. But Detective Hale's eyes were on Charlie. The dog was packing between the body and the door, whining, ears pinned back, a creature confused by violence he couldn't understand. Hale knelt, Charlie stiffened, then suddenly growled when Mark came closer. It was subtle but unmistakable. At first, the evidence pointed nowhere. No fingerprints other than Emily's and Mark's, no sign of robbery. But then, Hale learned something from a neighbor. "I heard shouting last night, a man's voice, angry, then the dog started barking non-stop." Mark insisted he had been at work until after midnight, but his time card was handwritten, not digital. Hale began to dig deeper. When the forensics team tested the carpet near the kitchen, they found faint traces of motor oil, the kind used in Mark's shop. He could have stepped in it earlier that day, but the timing didn't sit right. And then there was Charlie's reaction. Every time Mark entered the room during questioning, the dog tensed, baring his teeth. During a follow-up search, Hale noticed a deep scratch on the side of Mark's hand. Mark said it was from work, but Hale remembered the crime scene, a clump of dog hair found near the doorway. He sent it for DNA testing. The results confirmed what he suspected. The hair matched Charlie's breed and color. It wasn't much, but it suggested there had been a struggle between Mark and the dog, likely when Mark attacked Emily and Charlie tried to protect her. Still, it wasn't enough to prove murder. Until Hale got an idea. Hale requested the security footage from the convenience store across the street. On the recording, timestamp 10:37 p.m., Mark's truck was seen leaving the house, hours earlier than he claimed. At 10:41, Emily's phone sent a final text. "We'll talk when you calm down." 4 minutes later, the neighbor reported hearing the dog barking frantically. The timeline closed in like a vice. When confronted with the evidence, Mark broke down. He confessed. The argument had escalated. He'd hit her in anger. Charlie had lunged at him, biting his arm before he shoved the dog aside and ran. He hadn't meant to kill her, he said. But the truth was, only Charlie had seen what happened, and he hadn't forgotten. At the trial, Hale testified about the forensic evidence, the oil traces, and the bite mark. But it was Charlie's presence that left the courtroom silent. The prosecution requested to bring him in, sitting quietly beside Emily's parents, tail still, eyes locked on Mark. When Mark took the stand, the dog let out a low growl, the same one he'd given that first night. The jury didn't need convincing after that. Mark Dawson was sentenced to 25 years in prison for second-degree murder. Charlie was adopted by Emily's parents. Every morning, he still walked to the gate at 7 a.m., the time Emily used to leave for work. He'd sit there, waiting, as if guarding the memory of the woman he'd loved and failed to save. Detective Hale often said later, "Sometimes witnesses don't talk, they just remember, and that memory can be louder than words." Because in the end, it wasn't fingerprints or confessions that told the truth. It was a dog's loyalty and the growl that wouldn't let justice sleep. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more historical true crime documentary.